Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we've got this incredible Zen story that I think you're going to love. It's all about how a tiny shift in how we see things can, well, literally change our entire world. It's a story about finding huge value in the places we'd never ever think to look.
Okay, so the whole story really hinges on this one core idea from an old Zen master. Treat every life as you would treat the Buddha. It sounds simple, right? But think about it. It's asking us to find something secret in everything, even the most ordinary, everyday things.
And that brings us to the big question of the story. I mean, come on, a mosquito, a rock, and a toad teaching some powerful, arrogant guy his most important life lesson? How is that even possible? Well, let's dive in and see how this amazing parable unfolds. All right, so let's set the scene. We're in a small town, right at the foot of a mountain, and we've got our main players. First, there's Master Kong Kong, a super wise monk. Then there's his apprentice, Ikshu, who, let's be honest, kind of likes to kick back and relax. And finally, the new magistrate, Wang Da Zhuang, a guy who's got a ton of ambition and an ego to match. And here's where things get really interesting. You've got these two guys on a complete philosophical collision course. Master Kong Kong, he believes everything is equal, that every little thing has its own value. But Magistrate Wang? No way. For him, the world is a ladder, a pecking order, and you better believe he sees himself sitting right up near the top. So the whole thing kicks off at this big public event, a life release ceremony. The magistrate is making a huge show of his own goodness, He's freeing expensive animals like goldfish and deer, basically showing off how powerful and generous he is. So his guys are clearing the path for him, and they shoo away this little toad. And the magistrate's reaction? Just pure disgust. He calls it ugly, worthless, a total nuisance. But his loud, dismissive comment? It gets the attention of Master Kong Kong. And the master, who's been watching all this, he gently steps in. He says that from a higher viewpoint, there's absolutely no difference between the fancy goldfish, the humble toad, or even the magistrate himself. Now, to the magistrate, this idea is it's not just weird, it's insulting. And the magistrate? He just bursts out laughing. He thinks this is the most ridiculous thing he's ever heard. So, to prove just how right he is, he proposes a bet. He says, if the master can prove that even the most worthless things have value, he'll donate a whole year's salary to fix the temple. But if he can't, the temple's sign gets torn down. The stakes are huge. So you're probably wondering, how on earth is the master going to win this thing? Well, he gives his apprentice, Yikshu, this really bizarre task. For the next 3 days, Yikshu has to follow the magistrate everywhere. And every single time something annoying happens, he has to treat that nuisance like it's the Buddha himself showing up. Okay, test number 1. It's late that night. The magistrate is working, burning the midnight oil, when a mosquito lands right on his forehead and gives him a big, itchy bite. He's furious, and he raises his hand to just swat. But Yikshu rushes in, stopping him. Your Excellency, the Buddha has arrived. The magistrate is seeing red. He points at the mosquito and basically shouts, "You're telling me this blood-sucking pest is the Buddha?" And this is where Yikshu gets clever. He has to think fast. He reframes the whole thing. He says, that mosquito isn't a pest. It's a messenger sent by the Buddha to remind a great leader like you that you need to rest so you can take care of your people. A little flattery, and it actually works. The magistrate lowers his hand.
All right, day 2, another problem. The magistrate is out on patrol, and his fancy carriage gets totally stuck on a big rock in the road. His first instinct? Smash it to bits. Get it out of my way. But here comes Yikshu again. The Buddha has appeared, he yells. And you can just hear the sarcasm in the magistrate's voice as he shoots back, your Buddha looks pretty hard, doesn't he? But again, Yikshu flips the script. He says the rock isn't an obstacle. It's an anchor. It's been sitting there for ages, holding the whole hillside together, preventing landslides. It's a guardian protecting travelers. And the magistrate, he's actually intrigued. Instead of destroying it, he tells his men to respectfully move it to the side of the road. Okay, so now it's the third and final day of the bet. And this is where everything comes to a head. The magistrate is down by the river, checking on a dam. The water is high and rushing like crazy from some recent rains. You can just feel the tension building. And then, disaster.
The riverbank is slick, it gives way, and he tumbles right into the raging current. He slips, he falls, he's in the raging river, and he can't swim. His men are on the shore just panicking, totally helpless as he's swept downstream. But then something absolutely incredible happens. It's like the universe itself steps in. First, just as he's about to be smashed against some sharp rocks, his body is cushioned and deflected by something big in the water. It's the rock, the very rock he spared. He's then able to grab onto the riverbank, which is held firm and stable by, you guessed it, the colony of toads he didn't harm. But he's exhausted, and that's when Yixu spots a tiny speck of red in the churning water. The swollen mosquito bite on his forehead. It's acting like a tiny buoy, and it's just enough for Yixu to see him and throw a rescue rope. So they pull him out of the water. He's soaked, he's freezing, but he's alive. And he just stands there on the riverbank and looks around at the rock, at the toads, at a mosquito buzzing by, and in that moment, he sees the world for the first time. He goes straight back to the temple and bows deeply to Master Kong Kong. He gets it. It all clicks. He realizes his arrogance was blinding him. He thought he was generously saving these lesser creatures. But the truth was, they were the ones creating the world that allowed him to live. This is the core lesson. Value isn't a hierarchy, it's a web. So, being a man of his word, he pays up and funds the temple's repairs. But he does something more. He issues a new law for the whole district, a law that says all things have a sacred nature, and they absolutely cannot be treated lightly. Okay, so what's the big takeaway for us, right? I mean, the point isn't that you have to start bowing to mosquitoes. It's about realizing that everything is connected. That person who annoys you, that traffic jam, that obstacle in your way, they're all part of this incredibly complex system that supports you in ways you probably can't even see. What this story is really telling us is that the way you see the world, well, that is the world you get. The magistrate's reality didn't change because the rock or the toads suddenly became valuable. It changed because he changed how he saw their value. And by treating the world with gentleness and respect, he was in turn saved by it. And that brings us to this final, really powerful question the parable leaves us with. If you can learn to see that inherent value, that Buddha nature, in everything and everyone around you, from the people you love to the things that annoy you, then what kind of world do you end up living in? Aren't you, in fact, already living in heaven?